basically. It's been chaotic.
Yeah, 2019 fucking sucks.
2019.
Yeah, 2019. It's been kicking my dick ever since, like, the week before New Year's.
Yeah, tell me what first happened.
So first, my client left, so I basically don't have a job right now. I've got, like, 2 more paychecks coming, I think. Maybe 1. What you call it? So that happened. And then New Year's was fine. After that, we almost got a ticket, and we one of our spots is now dead. I don't want to smoke there anymore. And I also lost my license that day. I got in my car, drove back there, walked around the beach 3 times, walked around Stater Brothers parking lot 3 times, went inside, asked if they see anything. They're like, no. Walked through the aisles of Stater Brothers like 3 times. Never found my license. I never registered as a citizen in California. So I have to I ordered my driving record from West Virginia so that I don't have to take all the tests and shit again. And, what should I call it? Then, it just keeps coming.
It just keeps going.
I think it was the day before yesterday, I went over to Hayden's, and we drank a lot of, like, vodka. I think Hayden told me I had 13 shots.
Okay.
So, that night was great. Being drunk is amazing. It's like being on a roller coaster in your own body.
Okay.
Just like every movement's like,
okay, we get it. You're an alcoholic. Jeez. Well, what about that night?
So that night was fine.
Okay.
And the next morning, I woke up, first hangover I've ever had. It was alright. I just kind of felt sick and had a headache. But that took like the whole morning to get rid of. And then I looked at my account, and I'm like, wait, what the fuck? I spent $95 last night?
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way I spent $95 last night.
Yeah.
I don't even have a car to drive with.
Yeah.
And it said it was in...
Oh, so they picked you up?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was in Thousand Oaks, California.
Okay.
Which is up by, like, where my sister lives. Like,
yeah,
Northern
I don't even know.
California
I don't even know where that is.
So it's like, okay, someone has my account, and they're fucking spending shit on it. So immediately I have to call the thing.
And stop and get your money?
Yeah, and then Hayden has to drive me to the thing and get it done.
Yeah, I was wondering, I'm like, well, what is this paper for? And I'm like, okay, you said fraud. I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like, do I ask him now just to fuel my curiosity or wait till the podcast? What'd they spend it on?
Both of them were at a gas station, so I think they just took the money out of the account.
Oh. How did they get access to it?
I have no fucking clue.
Think about
I had both my cards.
Huh?
I had both my cards.
I know, but think about December, what you could have possibly used it at or on.
Well, my thing is, there was a vending machine on that night that I got drunk. We went to, I think it was like Longhorn Steakhouse or something like that.
Okay.
And then we went to the mall. And Hayden had to get something to drink so he could take
You were drunk this whole time?
No, I wasn't drunk
Okay.
yet. Hayden had to get something to drink or have his meds. So we found a vending machine, and none of us could get into it.
Yeah.
Or none of us could get it to actually do anything.
Work? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if this guy put like a fucking tracker in the middle of that, or in that keypad.
Well, not a tracker, but he probably had a scanner or something.
Whatever they put those things on.
Yeah, they probably do.
So it might have been that. I don't know. Maybe I was on a sketchy website recently.
That's what I'm saying. Did you order anything online?
Amazon, Steam. I was looking at bongs and pipes and shit on.
But you didn't buy anything, right?
On the website, yeah. But those websites are sketchy. Have you ever been on like a Smoke Depot website?
No.
They look like they're from like 2005.
Why? Because they're just not outdated?
Yeah. They don't. They look like outdated 2005 websites. They just don't have the design put into them.
Yeah.
Like the other stuff does. So yeah.
That sucks.
Currently, I have 2/3 of my account missing. I have no job.
Well,
I have no license.
Are you gonna like call and ask him if you can work like those random shifts?
I'll probably once I get my license, I can actually like go places. I'll probably apply at Sprouts and then just do jobs at 24-hour home care until I get a response from someone. Really, probably not just Sprouts.
So what? Wait. So what about your work? They just said you can't work here.
What do you mean?
Because you said you're out of a job, but can't you still work other people? You know what I mean?
Oh wait. Yeah, I can, but I don't have a way of getting there right now.
I know, but you could still drive illegally. You know what I mean? Why not? It's only gonna take like a week.
Yeah. 'Cause that's like you going to the station arrested kind of shit.
If you get caught, just don't smoke. I drove, I think, 6 months probably before I got my license, or even before I got my, what's it called? Like my mom would let me drive to God's house. She'd let me drive to Walmart, or not Walmart, Lowe's over there by Bart's house.
Like my luck since the new year, I'm not fucking testing it.
Yeah.
That's like the big stuff too. There's a bunch of little shit that's been happening that I just don't remember. It's like I can't find my fucking comb and I have to go somewhere in 2 minutes, kind of shit.
What was I gonna say? Well, my month has been good. If that means, or my beginning of the year has gone good so far. We talked about on the last podcast how I wasn't gonna use the internet and stuff like that and write. I've been doing that. I haven't been writing as much as I said I would, but I've been writing. I haven't been on the internet unless it was like about the chickens or watching a movie or applying for jobs. Other than that, I haven't been on the internet. I haven't looked at social media. Nothing. Oh, I did listen to that podcast. What else? I think the main thing is just like I don't know what the fuck to do, so I'm just kind of reading. I'm reading the books that I got, and I'm just like I don't know what the fuck to do. Like once I kind of write and like my writing juices are gone, it's like I don't really know what to do for the rest of the day, and that's the only thing that bothers me. So I've been taking care of my chickens, and I've been watching them, and I noticed the pecking order or whatever, and like I can see who's in hierarchy compared to other chickens and stuff like that. That has all to do with what I was telling you about earlier, about how the chickens are attacking me. Yeah, usually the chickens that are being attacked are by the ones who are higher on the pecking order. I know it sounds obvious, but she's clearly on the bottom of the pecking order. I don't know why, but she is. And I don't know what dictates whether or not they're on just their size, right? Whether or not they're big enough to fight.
Just who's more aggressive, I guess.
Yeah.
'Cause like I was telling you about that one guy who, he like hangs out with hyenas all the time, right?
Why?
He's like a scientist, and he knows how their social structure works, so you know how to abuse it to become the alpha of the hyena pack. Yeah.
My mom says my room smells like weed, but I haven't put weed in my room. It's in my car. I don't know. Because she just told me, she's like, your room smells like weed. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, right away, I'm like, did I take out any weed or anything? I'm trying to think. I'm like, no, I smoked in the backyard. But even then, you know what I mean? I don't know. I had to go look.
What was it that was like under your bed that just kind of disappeared?
Oh, yeah. I had a bunch of pre-rolls. I don't know if they're gone. I know she didn't smoke them because, I don't know, she didn't, but they're gone. I haven't asked. Look at this fucking plane. Look at that. Yeah. Oh yeah, we should probably talk about our location, right? We're once again in an undisclosed location, but we're outside. And I think, how do I say it? So, I think one of the most unique things, how do I say this? One of the most unique things about Oceanside is the weird amount of like border shit that we have. If we try going anywhere north, we're gonna hit border patrol, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If we try to go through the base to go north, we would have to go through the base. So it's like a weird thing that not really a lot of people have to deal with, you know what I mean? It's only kind of a thing that's in Oceanside. And so with that being said, we're on the corner of a military base in our city, and in between of that there's a reserve that we're currently at, right?
Natural reserve.
Yeah, it's a natural reserve. So we're in the middle of one of the biggest military bases and our city, and we're sitting here recording.
Yeah. It's nice though. There's birds everywhere. They don't give a shit about us.
Well, yeah, I don't think they notice us. And seeing that, oh, look at those are my footprints. But aside from that, look at those footprints. Those are old. You can barely see them unless those are yours. But no one's been here really. You don't know what the bottom of your foot looks like.
I don't see any of mine.
I see mine. This one, the coolest footprints here.
Yours, isn't it?
Yeah, this one right here. Yeah, yours is like big diamond. I think those are yours right there.
Oh.
But yeah, I was just thinking about that while we were here. That it's just one of the most weird things about Oceanside is that these borders, and that there's places like this in between the border.
Yeah.
And like if we were to go south too, you know what I mean? Mexico's right there, and we hit another border. I don't know. If you go towards Bart's house, you know what I mean? And then you go towards Temecula, there's a big freeway that goes towards the north, basically, and there's another border there that you're gonna run into. So I don't know, it's just something that is normal for us and different for people. Yeah. What should we talk about first? Want to talk about the movie here? Kieran? I said that. 100% natural.
Let's see. Let's leave the movie for last.
Do you have something specific to talk about?
I got my points. Oh, I have shit internet right now.
That's why you need to put it in your notes, so you can look at it offline.
Why doesn't it like update? Oh, there it goes.
What?
Basically already through mine. What you call it? I haven't quite been able to reproduce it, but that first night when I took the gravity bong hit, I was like coming up with ideas faster than I could write them.
Yeah. It might have been the sour diesel. Ooh, there's a bug on your hand. Fuck it up. Anyways, I noticed when I use the sour diesel specifically, I don't know, it's very cerebral, right? That's the right word. And I feel like I can write, or I'm like thinking a lot when I smoke that.
You get the fuck
Yeah, it's
out
still
of here.
falling. Anyways, yeah, that's what I noticed. So it might have been that. Maybe you took a gravity bong hit of the sour diesel, and you're like, damn.
Damn.
Well, think about it too. Did you smoke that day? Did you eat anything before you did the gravity bong hit?
I have no fucking clue.
Why?
That's the only thing I remember from that day. I don't remember.
See if you can
what day that
recreate the
was.
steps. You know what I mean? Maybe you didn't eat, and maybe, but you did eat.
I had a lot of gravity bong hits. I know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you
I think I was like 5 or 6 in, because I was testing it too.
were you literally like just like I don't know? I was thinking like you should already just get a big one and not get a plastic one, or just get a better quality. Like have a designated one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Instead of the shitty bottle one.
Oh, that's what's nice about the bottle ones is that you can just make them whenever.
Yeah, I guess, but I don't know. It's shitty.
Like if I'm gonna spend money on a pipe, I'd rather buy like a one hitter or
Yeah.
another bowl piece for my bong.
I guess, but this is you only need kind of like. I think the top part it has to be the bottom, but I think the bottom part I don't think it really matters, right? That's what I'm saying is that you can get a new bottom part, so it's not ghetto plastic, and then make a decent quality top that you can consistently use.
Yeah. I could use that one trick to cut the bottle in half, or cut a bottle in half. You know what I'm talking about?
No, what?
You put like a string around it, you tie it off, and then you coat it in I think lighter fluid, and you light that on fire, and then when it's done you dunk it into the water and it'll just split off.
I wonder why.
It's just how glasses.
Oh.
Like if you take a hot torch or like one of those hot pins for wood burning,
And do what?
you run it along the glass
It's just
and then you dunk it in water and it'll split off.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
What was I fucking trying to say? Oh, our analytics. That's interesting, right? It seems that we were preaching like no one watching us, and now there's viewers. There are people now that have listened to it.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Means we're getting somewhere.
It means there's progress.
Yeah.
Does that mean? Does it mean that?
At the very least, we know it's viewable to the public on the search engine.
Okay, so that it's being presented maybe because of the tag too. Because like one of the tags I put podcast, so if anyone types in podcast, it's the first thing that comes up, or one of the first things. And then usually the topics is what else I put in the tags, like fascism. That one episode, so I just put in fascism. So if they type fascism podcast, like maybe that would come up. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Maybe I'm using the right tags. I don't know. Or maybe we're talking about the right things at the right time, in which everyone wants to hear, making us. Next thing you know, by the end of the year, I was thinking about this too. When I saw the analytics that night, I was thinking about it. There's people who talk about like doing it, and like a year later, their whole life has changed. So like, imagine if this does go somewhere in a year now, you could be living completely different lives.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah. Be so down for that because right now everything fucking
It
sucks.
And think about, yeah, I think it's when you texted me too. I was thinking about this too, because like, yeah, it sucks now, but it's not always gonna suck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hopefully, it's not always gonna suck. That's the key word. Hopefully.
Well, it's really starting to hit me lately how fucking aimless everything is.
What do you mean?
Like, there's no real reason to do any of this.
Stop! Don't. That's nihilism. You don't speak that way.
Hello.
Hey guys,
Hey.
I knew she knew somebody was out here. She started getting all waggy. It's a nice spot, huh?
Yeah,
we're
hanging out.
Come on, leave him alone. Come on, guys. Come on, let's go.
It's a beautiful dog.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you. She's very sweet. Come on. Bye. Come on.
What was he saying?
Nihilism.
Oh yeah, that's nihilistic. You can't think that way, because then you have no purpose.
I think there's the reason nihilism is so proficient or like all over the place is because like there's a certain truth to it.
I guess, but that's hard to argue against. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of based in absolute truth. You know what I mean? So it's like you're looking. I don't know. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you're looking at the truth, but it's whether or not you want that to be your truth. I guess.
Well, the way I look at it is, at the end of the day, it comes down to what I feel like I need to do, and nihilism is just kind of the truth in the background.
Yeah, I just don't really know what to say. But yeah, you can't think that way, because I truly believe that's currently what's like corrupting humans right now, or Americans specifically. It seems like we're so. That's what seems. Because let me explain why I think that. I was watching Jordan Peterson, and I told you about stuff he said. And what was it? He was just saying how like when he talks in front of when he gives speeches and stuff like that, when he seems to talk about nihilism and like what you have to do to get rid of it, he's like, usually I see the young men in the room. And he's like, usually they're the ones who like light up when they realize, oh, like nihilism isn't everything. You know what I mean? That's why I want to stray away from that thought. Do you think if you kind of yes, there is no purpose to anything, right? That's the absolute truth, is that there's no purpose to anything, and that we're technically here only just to survive, right?
Yeah.
That's our only purpose, is to keep going to the next day, and either that can be your truth, or you can put purpose in your life, for example, through this podcast. You know, being able to put effort. If you think about the podcast, you're like, you know what I mean? Then that can be your purpose. You know what I mean? You can put purpose through something. I don't know. I'm just preaching at this point.
Did you write anything down?
Yeah, I did. That's why I want to talk about the podcast. Or I want to talk about the movie, because look at I wrote down so many fucking questions for the movie. Like, these are all questions. Like, the first one, read the first one. That's like one of the questions. Remove plausibility for emotion. Oh, I should probably talk about that. So I've been reading this book by Francois Truffaut about Alfred Hitchcock, and it's I showed you, it's the big gray book with the orange text on it. And I've been just reading it because I've been bored. And they were saying, and now that he said it, Alfred Hitchcock said it, it just seems so clear. He's like one of the techniques in film that you can do, it sounds so stupid and seems so obvious, but now that he said it, it's just kind of clear to me. He's like, you can remove plausibility for emotion. And like when he said that, I started watching movies, and I'm like, hey, where are they removing plausibility for emotion? And like, for example, in that movie, in Next Gen, if you remember the spam mail, the IRL spam mail, remember that when she came home and then the spam, yeah, that for me, I'm like, we're not going to have mail. Like, mail's about to go out of business right now. It's not going to be there, let alone IRL spam mail. We're just going to have emails. And I'm like, oh, but the emotion got across. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's just little stuff like that. And so Alfred Hitchcock's, like, big thing was that mainly the critics who critiqued his work were people he called logistic people who only think logically, and he's like, oh, what they don't understand is that you can remove plausibility for emotion, and that's all I've been thinking. Oh, I was just thinking about the movie, and every time I watch a movie, that's what I'm thinking about. But you don't want to talk about the movie yet? I have a lot to say about it. I think if we talk about the movie, we'll bring up a lot of topics.
Well, branching off from that.
Okay, fine, what?
From what I thought about from that. Have you ever taken one of those personality tests from like the 16 type thing?
No.
There is a website where they did surveys, and they used all the information they combined to map out 16 personality types.
Oh, great. Okay.
And I took the test, and I got like mediator. This has been around for a while, but I like read through the thing. I'm like, holy shit, this is kind of accurate. Like,
well, it was just telling you about your behaviors?
Yeah. And I don't know. I haven't read any of the other ones to see if they're all like that, like the sort of
like
fortune teller kind of bullshit. Yeah. But I don't know. It was interesting.
I might want to take it now that you say it.
You should.
Because I think I've heard about it. And I think Miss Noble was talking about it in high school.
I remember I took it a while ago, and I had a totally different personality type, though.
So what do you think changed?
Either I changed, the questionnaires changed, or my personality changed.
What do you think changed?
I don't know. I don't remember what led me to get the stats I got last time.
No, but what do you think changed? Oh, so you don't think you changed?
I don't know if I changed. I don't know if I answered wrong on the other one, or if I answered wrong on this one.
I don't think you can answer wrong, right? It's kind of your opinion.
Well, the way it structures it, it wouldn't just like change like that, I don't think.
Oh, I don't know. What was I gonna say? I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was writing the script, right? And it was after I watched Annie Hall, which is just a rom-com movie from the 70s. And I had this idea, I don't know why, and I was just curious if you thought it was a good idea. So, in the beginning of the film, I had our protagonist, what seems to get ready for a date. You know what I mean? He's fixing his hair, he's brushing his teeth, he's dressing nicely. You know what I mean? He leaves his apartment going into New York City, that's what I decided. and he turns the corner, and then boom, that's when like the credits is, right, or like the beginning credits, right, and he's thrown into a cartoon like castle where he has to save a princess, and like all the names of the people who've helped in like the movie, you know what I mean, like directed by Caleb Kratz, starring blah blah blah, are going on as he slays this dragon, saves the princess, leaves the castle, slays like hundreds of goblins, right? And the whole point of it is that I want this character, or I want to change the beginning intro so it's more of a hero's journey within a minute, you know what I mean? So when someone watches this, if they're paying attention, they're like, oh, the person's going through a hero's journey, and that's what I want them to understand when they go into the movie. Does it make sense? So I just thought of this. So right, he turns the corner and he's just flying into this cartoon where it's an exaggerated version of him where he's muscle, but he has a bigger nose and bigger ears or whatever. And then the princess that he's about to save is his best friend's girlfriend, right? And so now that's the whole point of the film, right? And so the thing is that I don't know how I'm gonna make a hero's journey also in this rom-com where the girlfriend is sex starved.
Your shoes?
Why? Why do you think that?
There's ants on them.
There's a single ant.
There's two.
I wanted this guy to go through a hero's journey while this whole romance of him cheating. He's not necessarily cheating because the boyfriend or the best friend has like said it to him, like, I don't love this girl anymore. You know what I mean? So he's not necessarily being a scummy person, but it's not like the best thing, you know what I mean? Because he's dating a girl that his boyfriend or that his best friend's still dating technically. And that's all I have so far.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yeah. I don't know how he's gonna progress. I don't know what's gonna change. I don't know any of that. But I thought that would be. I just thought the whole animated part would be so cool. I don't know why. Just to have him slay a dragon. And I literally wrote down, cause I don't have it on my phone, but I wrote down like he leaps from like the tallest point in the tower. Like he like somersaults onto the floor with the princess in his arms. And like he slays, and then he's like, as he's exiting the castle, like he's surrounded by like 100 goblins in which he fights off. And like the whole point is like you're just trying to see him struggle and fight. I thought it was a cool idea.
Would you have his how would he be going from like the apartment to this sort of animated?
Oh yeah,
sequence?
well that's what I didn't really understand. Well, because the whole point was that he was about to go hang out with his best friend, who's gonna tell him that he doesn't love his girlfriend anymore, right? So he's not getting ready for a date. That's just the type of person he is. He just takes the time to get ready, and so he turns the corner, does the animated cartoons, you know what I mean? It does the intro, it fades to black, and then the rest of from the beginning scene is continued on. Does it make sense? So it's just purely there for, you know, just to be able to speak cinematically, you know what I mean? I'm trying to show them that this man is going to go through a hero's journey, and in his head, it's going to look like he's this beautiful, you know what I mean? It's this cartoon, it's fantasy, but in reality, this is what happens, you know what I mean?
Would you kind of try to keep him in a sort of mindset through all this to keep it continuous?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
So I would think like it'd be neat if he like it was very monotonous while he was getting ready, and then he just goes through this thing and it's also very monotonous.
What do you mean?
He just looks bored with it.
Of getting ready?
Of doing like castle shit and stuff like that.
Why would he be bored?
Because it connects to the fact that it's not actually happening. It's just him thinking about it.
Oh, okay. You know, yeah, that's a good idea. Because, yeah, and then after it fades to black, and then he's continuing walking in New York City streets, that's how I explained it, or thought of it. And then there's like a restaurant that he walks into, you know what I mean? And then the movie starts. And then I wanted him, I don't know if I wanted the boyfriend to be like mature, the best friend, who's the boyfriend of the girl, to be mature, or if I wanted him to cheat on her. Right? I don't know if right? Let me use these coins. This is the boyfriend, this is the best friend, and this is the girl. And then this is the other. I was gonna bring another mistress. So it gives he confesses to cheating on her, and then with this girl, right? And then so it gives him an excuse to be with this girl. Makes sense?
Mhm.
That's what I was thinking.
That reminds me of. Have you seen that movie where I forget who wrote it and what language it is, and I just know vaguely of the plot.
Yeah.
It's two couples that live in like an apartment building, like across from each other,
Okay.
and they find out that their spouses have been cheating on them with each other's spouses.
Okay.
So the whole plot of the movie is that they go through like a date night that these people would have gone through to see what it was like to fall in love with their spouse as another thing, and why they were like cheating on each other. And like the whole movie is like that. Or that's just the whole. It's just a night where they do a date night.
I don't know what movie that is.
I don't think they worked together at the end. It was just kind of a bittersweet sort of.
That's what I don't know either. So, the reason why I'm thinking of that direction here, let me explain you why. Because there in Annie Hall, there's Woody Allen. There's his best friend, and then the best friend's girlfriend, and then there's Woody Allen's girlfriend, right? And then there's the best friend's wife, right? So he cheats on his girlfriend. The guy cheats on his wife with this girl, right? Then he stops dating this girl because he loves his wife. He breaks up with her, cheats on her to break up with her, right? So he breaks up with her. Boom, they're together for most of the film. Then they run back together. He divorces her. Then he gets back with her at the very end. That's the whole movie. So that's what I was thinking of. The whole infidelity thing. I was thinking of either she's like sex starved. That's literally what I wrote down. Was either that he just wasn't finding any pleasure, and she's sex starved, so it's initially just going to the main character or the other character for sex, you know what I mean? And then eventually it becomes a relationship. You know, either that or he's cheating on her and it just gives him a better excuse to be with the girl. I don't know.
I think I'd establish like a subtext of like she's lacking the attention that she feels she needs.
No, yeah, and I would do that. I was thinking about after the beginning scene where they introduce that he goes back to his apartment that night or whatever, and it just shows more of him in that relationship falling apart. You know what I mean? I don't know. And also, what I haven't been doing, where are those birds? What I haven't been doing, I was looking for the birds. Is I said I would put it on my wall and just stare at it, and I haven't done that. But we're only like 4 days into the month. Yeah, it's only January 4th. So I'm gonna try to do it in the next couple of days. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna work on the story that I just told you, and then I have an old script that I think I have pretty much like all the arcs, you know what I mean, of the story written down. So I think I might just write that down and work on that too. Yeah. I don't know why I brought that up.
It's fun to talk about. Oh, there was something I was gonna say. Oh yeah, what do you think? So far, my favorite way of thinking about a story being written is you establish characters, and then just kind of bat them against each other until something happens.
Until conflict?
Basically, yeah. That's how Game of Thrones is written.
Oh.
What you call it? And then there's the style that's more towards what you're talking about, where you want something to happen, you design the characters around making that happen.
Oh, okay, so there's bottom up and top down. Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay, so top down is, for example, or I think that's bottom up, the way I'm thinking of it, but like top down would be like, okay, the movie title is called Truckers, and I want the movie to be about truckers, and you go down from there.
Mhm.
Bottom up is like, okay, I want whatever intricate story, and then you go up from there until whatever it becomes. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that's how people write. Either people write from top down or bottom up, and I feel like I'm bottom up, where I just get this idea that I kind of want, and then I just and I just spread it from there instead of having a generalized idea, I guess, and going down from there. I don't know. You have to really look up like bottom up and top down means, but it's like it's a term used in story writing, or not in story writing. I guess any critical thing. You mean interpreting.
Well, would that include like the Game of Thrones thing? Have you watched anything from that? What they do is he sets up these characters, and then one will be like Joffrey's a fucking asshole, and Tyrion, his uncle, is like a dwarf midget. Who,
Oh yeah, Fear
like,
Dinklage.
Yeah, he'll
Yeah.
like tell him off no matter what.
Yeah.
And drama sort of happens off of that.
Yeah.
Because the king hates this guy, and he can't really get an excuse to execute him. And then when Joffrey dies, people just blame him because they had a big thing against each other.
Oh, I don't know what you're trying to say. That. What?
The story is made by the motivations of the character instead of
The premise.
yeah.
Yeah, because then that means it's character arc. The story is based in character arc.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And I think we talked about this. Like American films, they have the story arc and then they have the character arcs. You know what I mean? And so I think that's essentially what it is. It's just character arc, or the story's based around the character arcs, right?
Would that be top down or bottom up?
That's why you'd have to like. That's why I think I don't know if I'm getting them backwards or I'm not explaining them well. That's why you just need to look it up.
Okay.
But if I were to guess, I think it would be bottom up. Because you would think of their, I think, I don't know. What was I thinking? Huh?
That was a raven.
What was I thinking though when you said that? Oh yeah, my character, my this story would be strictly because I want to make like a European film, sort of. Because well, let me explain. When I watched Annie Hall, that's why I texted you. Like, this movie's so good because he's Woody Allen, if you know anything. He's an American filmmaker from New York City, and how do I say this? During all the come up of the how do I say this of the blockbuster in the 70s, right? And all these new young people, Martin Scorsese, Brian De Palma, these young filmmakers who American filmmakers who made the blockbuster. He was this art house European filmmaker who wasn't from college. He was already like 40 years old when he joined the film industry, you know what I mean? He's already been a comedian for 10 years or something like that. And so he just comes in, he makes a couple of movies. He makes Annie Hall, which I watched, which is one of the most acclaimed romantic comedies in cinema, you know what I mean? And like he kind of like established the rom-com genre, you know what I mean? And so I watched it. The movie was brilliant, and then I think I watched that. I watched Next Gen, and I watched another movie, and that's when I kind of thought of the movie that I was thinking about. But in the cartoon, in the movie, he has a cartoon scene, and that's why I wanted a cartoon scene in the beginning, because I thought it'd be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does. I don't know. It's just a good movie. You should watch it. Like it's a rom-com, and Annie Hall is the one where I explained to you where he like cheats on his girlfriend with his best friend's girl. And then the thing is that, you know what's crazy is that he does movies like I Want to Do. He writes them about his life. So he dated Diane Keaton from 1970 to 1971, and then Annie Hall didn't come out until 1977. But Diane Keaton comes back to play the role in which he dates her, and how do I say this? The whole situation is based off his real life, you know what I mean? But in dramatic terms. And so she knew it was about her. The character that she was playing was about her, but she knew, I don't know how to explain this, but like she knew that he was, because she worked in another film with him before this film. She knew that he was just so good, I guess, or I don't know, but that he was so talented that she has to portray this character. So it's weird that, how do I say this? He looked at this girl and perceived her and wrote her in the way he thought of her, and now she has to play how he thinks of her. You know what I mean? And they legitimately dated, you know what I mean, 6 years prior to this. So I don't know, it's just interesting. And they're like, yeah, and they're a couple in there, yeah. It's a good movie.
I think so.
You want to talk about
Next Gen?
Yeah, we'll talk about Next Gen.
To preface this, I watched the last half first, and then
In the first half?
and then I watched the whole thing last night.
Oh, also, it's a Netflix film, which is like, Netflix is going into animation, which is cool because, I mean, there's like Pixar, Marvel. I don't know any other like where any other animators can work really.
The first thing I noticed is this is the best animated movie I have ever seen.
Why?
Like visually.
Oh
All
yeah,
the
it
effects
was,
are so fucking
yeah,
good.
yeah. I noticed that too. I remember, when was it? Oh, right when he crashes for the first time. Remember when he loses part of his memory?
Oh, yeah.
The water was like crystal clear. And I'm like, damn, like the Netflix must have paid a lot of money to like get like that. Like that's good animation.
The first one I noticed was his eyes. When they move, they leave kind of like a.
Oh, like a little trail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else was there? The dirt was fucking good.
The dart?
Yeah, the way they put the dirt on the people.
Yeah.
And like the plaster kind of thing.
No plaster.
When he had like an injury or anything like that, he just like plaster over it. With
Oh no, yeah. I didn't think he plastered over it. I thought he like welded it.
no,
like
it's
clothes.
It's like a plaster kind of
Yeah.
like wall material.
Yeah. What's my phone? I'll tell you exactly what I wrote down because I wrote down a bunch of stuff. Oh, the first question. So do you? That's the first thing that I kind of understood. So do you think humans are striving for perfection or to be God through AI? Like, do you think they're trying to create a perfect human that can self-evolve and, you know what I mean, with artificial intelligence? Or are they trying to literally be God? Like, are they trying to make another species?
I think we're trying to be God.
And why? What's the purpose? Because look at it, like, for example, in the film, you know, it's not a good idea.
Well, like creating something perfect is a very individual sort of project. It all comes down to what you think is
perfect. Yeah. Because it's subjective. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you're really just creating something and trying to be better than God at creating it.
So yeah, so that's the first thing I thought. It was a moral question was, like, why are we doing this? Should we stop? Like, is there any purpose? Like, I assume that films like these, they propose the idea because they think the idea is real, that AI can take over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like that, I felt like that was a clear, like, in 2001, like the robots taking over. Like it's created a human. You know what I mean? That's what I got out of it. I was gonna say cinematically the color contrast. I just felt like they used color well, and like, for example, easy example is the robot that he created was white and green, and the other robot was black and red. If you know anything about the color wheel, right?
Yeah.
Directly opposing are the ones that complement each other. Dumbass, not the joint.
That boy's safe.
I think it got a couple drops. But yeah, so I like that when I saw the colors and everything just complemented each other well. And when you it just puts even more meaning. You know what I mean? The colors contrast each other, so it's a visible way of showing that those robots are in conflict.
I remember when I watched the movie, Hayden kept like try to make jokes on this couch.
We're 45 minutes in.
Caesar.
No, I didn't expect it to be 45 minutes. Like, I thought like we were 20 minutes in. So I keep going.
Hayden would make like jokes on the couch, because he got.
It's Hayden.
He made one joke and it got a laugh, and then he made another one and it got a laugh. So he just kept going.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd probably do it too, but at the moment it kind of annoyed me.
Yeah. No, yeah, I get that. Keep going.
What you call it? But I remember at one point the little girl was like doing her thing and like yelling at the robot or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just remember like, I hate this character is what he said over there. I'm like, I really like this character because it's got like clear weaknesses, goals. Well, not necessarily goals, but like there's something going on. It's not like just some random girl that got with a robot. She's going through her own thing.
Yeah, it's like a rebel phase and all this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know, it might be a little bit cliched the way they designed her, but it's very, for a children's movie, I think it was really good.
Yeah. That was. I think we talked about this like a couple podcasts ago. My favorite thing, I wrote it down, is evolution of art. I don't know why I love that. I just love the way that art evolves and the way it's integrated. You know what I mean? I love that.
Earlier when we were talking about it, I was thinking about the fact that in the 20s, it was like a guy in front of a character doing funny stuff with no sound.
Yeah.
And now it's like totally animated, just voice actors and polygons being rendered on screen to make like a great movie.
Yeah. Well, what was I saying? What was the last thing I said?
Evolution of art.
Oh, evolution of art, yeah, and how it's integrated, right? And I don't know why, but that's literally, I think that's what, like, when I look at art and I look at how new art is created, I think that's what I pay attention to the most. So, for example, so if you look at the context in which the movie is taking place, this is a period after humans have already had technology for a long time. Mm-hmm. So I feel like, if I wrote it down here, I feel like this generation would be our grandkids or great-grandkids, right? So if you think about that generation and that rebel, like, there's no way they're going to be a rebel. Like, they wouldn't have the shaven head on one side. That's like something that's a trend now. Yeah. But because of art and because of how it's involved and how they integrate it, you know what I mean? You're able to have this futuristic movie about people that we'll never know, technically, you know what I mean? But they have stuff that we know about, like Punk and the way she dresses and stuff, and like how she has a dog, and you know what I mean? So I don't know, I just like when people make movies like that.
The one thing I was disappointed about when I watched the first half was the fact that the dog didn't talk through the whole movie. Like, I thought it was gonna be like the dog talks through the whole movie to her, and then like that one scene they established that like she has no idea what he's saying. Yeah, it's just the robot.
Yeah. No, yeah, and also that's a brilliant thing. I was looking at that movie and I'm like, how can I do that? Because I love that. So were we not the dog? Think about it. Was the audience not the dog? Because I'm 95% sure that the whole purpose of the dog was to be the audience.
Maybe.
Because if only the robot understands you. You're with the girl independently. You know what I mean? You can see her when she's alone, and she'll talk to him. And I don't know. It just seemed like that the whole point was to put the audience inside the dog's perspective.
So you're talking like an abstract kind of construct thing. It's something to talk to in place of the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Well, no, not in place of the audience, but is that the right wording? But we are the dog. Like, the audience is the dog.
Like, in universe, she is talking to the dog, but the purpose the dog is there is to make it so she's basically talking to us.
Well, sort of, but more like we're inside the dog's body. Not that she's talking to the dog, but the way it's set up cinematically is so that we have this attachment to the dog, that we see ourselves within the dog, because the robot is only literally speaking like in like fluent words with the dog, right? And then like the I don't know. Let me see what I wrote down. Oh, by using the dog to break the third wall, the audience sees themselves in the dog, then attaches us further to the robot because he's technically talking directly to us.
I don't know if it goes that far, because the dog kind of has its own personality.
Because he would like break the third wall, like blatantly, and talk to us. So that's why I thought he was with us, and he wanted. And by doing, how do I say that? By breaking the third wall and talking to us, we're like, okay, the dog knows we're here, right? I know that sounds insane, but that's how I perceived it. Was, okay, the dog knows we're here. And then the robot's talking to the dog, and I'm like, okay, so the robot sort of knows about us.
What scene are you talking about?
I don't know, but I remember there's a scene where he completely breaks up their wall, and he's like, wait, what? And he like looks like at the screen, and he speaks English, and the robot isn't there. Or he's not near. You know, the whole purpose isn't that he's not interacting with the robot, he's interacting with us.
When was it?
I don't remember. I'd have to go and like show you it. But he's done it like multiple times where he directly talked to us.
Yeah, I didn't notice it.
Okay, well, the reason why I said that was because because I remember when what I said is I was practically crying for the robot, but like they built up enough attachment to this robot that I felt some type of feeling when he was losing the fight, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I think, did they do that using the dog? Was the dog a tactic?
Maybe. I think it was like a part. I don't think it was like the main.
Because
central thing.
well, for me, I don't really feel emotional in movies. You know, I'm able to just watch them and just analyze them. You know what I mean? So there must have. I probably have to watch it again, but there must have been elements in which they fully integrated me within the movie.
This movie made me figure out something.
What?
It's not that I'm emotionally attached to movies. It like soundtracks really get to me.
Yeah.
Like if there's like swelling music,
And
I'll
you're
get like teary.
you're like, this is so good.
Like the Overwatch trailer where they're in that fucking museum.
I haven't watched
It
it.
can almost
I think
make
you
me
told.
cry.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you told me about this. Oh, this has another thing about plausibility for emotion. Cars can drive themselves, but there's traffic. That seems completely illogical. I was watching that. I'm like, why would there be traffic? And like if they're driving themselves, like traffic should be almost eliminated.
Well, there was like a lot of cars on the road, but I don't know if there was necessarily like traffic.
Well,
They weren't
okay,
stop and go.
yeah. But still, I don't know. The purpose of like cars kind of like moving as if they're still cars today. Like there was no steering wheel in the car, so I'm like, there shouldn't be traffic. There shouldn't be gaps. There should just be cars going.
I like how the seats like face forward too.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's weird. What else? Oh. Don't you think it's weird that she saw life within a dog? She saw humanity within a dog? Because there's parts where she's independently talking to the dog. So she sees humanity within the dog. There's no way you can talk to an object that doesn't speak back unless you see something within it, right?
Talk about my dog.
But you don't see humanity? You don't see a personality?
I see like a personality, but not necessarily like a
but
human personality.
Well, you know what I mean? There's some type of...
It's an
essence.
individual that I feel connected with, so I will talk to it.
But you understand my point. That there's some type of essence in which connects us with this backpack or a dog or whatever, right? So how come she's able to connect with this dog but not a robot? Like what was so, yes, it's because her mom neglected her, I guess, but still, like, isn't it doesn't, you don't see the contradiction?
Well, she built her life around the hate for robots. So it wouldn't be like...
so yeah, okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. You say it that way, but sorry, not to cut you off. Just the way I perceived it was that kind of contradicts itself. That if you see, you mean I said humanity within this dog, wouldn't you see it in artificial intelligence?
I think so. But like at the end, she realizes.
Yeah.
Because up until like the point where she's like, "Oh shit, he has no memories of me anymore."
Yeah.
She was just kind of blowing off the fact
Yeah.
that
Sorry.
he was erasing his mind to do that kind of shit.
Yeah. So not to cut you off, but like what I think. So I think I've already told you this, and I already said this in the podcast a trillion times, but what I love about stuff is like the mechanics and like how stuff works, right? And my favorite thing about cinema is how you're able to like the rubber band stretch and like contrast time, or stretch and tighten time, right? So remember when like right when he deletes all the memories, like beep beep beep, like it's something that happens instantly, but if you break down every little thing, you know what I mean, the suspense is drawn out. It's like this rubber band that you're like you know what I mean, and it's like and I just love shit like that. I don't know, and I want to see how. When I watched it, I'm like, okay, how am I gonna do that in my movie? Because I don't know, just the suspense. Them not knowing what's gonna happen yet next, I think that's my favorite type of filmmaking. You know what I mean? Being able to set yourself up so every single time the scene ends, they're just constantly in suspense. I think that's the type of movie I would want. Even though it doesn't need to be a suspenseful movie. You know what I mean? For example, that's not a suspenseful movie, but they managed to build suspense. And but yeah, so for example, that scene. Just think of that scene and how they're able to slow down reality. So when you really look at me,
I was just looking at that rock for some reason.
It looks pretty.
Yeah, it's weird how it like pops out of there.
Yeah. But what I was saying is that, so if you want to think about how I want to manipulate cinema, I know that sounds like pretentious, but if that's how I would like to manipulate, and like that's it might seem hard to understand, but like that feeling you get in that moment, I want that feeling throughout the entire movie. That's how I'd want to make my movies. Just constantly on suspense.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know if you have anything to say.
Let's see.
Yeah, I'll light this up right now because I'm cold. All right, we're lighting up our doobie. All right, you can.
Somewhere around here.
Oh, I wrote culture. I said we no longer can have men and women intimate, and friendships in film. We can no longer have men and women intimate, but without being erotic. Do you remember that one time when was it? Oh, he just deletes his weapon systems and he's trying to look for her. He's trying to look for her. Remember, he just deleted his weapon system. He's like, oh yeah, I did open up space. He's looking for her, and she's sitting on the side of the hill talking to the dog, and that's when he brings the toy out that you made for her. Oh, why was I bringing this up? Oh, well, not to be like weird, but like if you wrote those dialogues but got rid of the robot. Oh, it's right here. You squished it. If you got rid of the robot and changed the dialogue and put a human in. Like, that would have been an erotic scene. Like, anyone would have Rule 32 them. Because, like, I don't know, it just seemed, like, extremely erotic. And if you think of if you were just to replace the robot with a human, it's like, at the very end, like, they would probably just have them be together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what I was saying is that, like, can we literally no longer have men and women friends and that we have to replace them with AIs, and even then they're going to be Rule 32?
I think you can, but there's no avoiding the Rule 34 thing.
Oh, is it 34?
Yeah.
But
Trust me, I'm an expert.
But yeah, that's what I wrote down, and I think it's extremely absurd. You know what I mean? That now that if I want to write a movie, I have to really think about whether the gender of people, because I can't without them being seen as erotic.
Mm. I think you just have to be really careful to establish it as platonic.
No, that's what I'm saying. Even they established it as platonic. But if you look at the way it's worded and the way the story's set up, at the very end, if it wasn't a robot and it was a boy, they would just got married or they would have been together. Does that make sense?
I mean, you don't have to make them together. It's not like a...
But what I'm saying is that the thought that people are going to have the thought of them or of wanting them together. And I want to be able to create a story where it's just, is that how it is?
Are you sure that's like a new thing?
What do you mean? You think people have... Well, yeah.
I think it's been like that for a long, long time.
Like sexual, or like erotic, or what do you mean?
Men and women just can't just be friends. There has to be some kind of romantic tinge to it.
No, yeah. I don't think so. Wait, hold on. Sorry. The question is, has movies always been like that, or storytelling?
Storytelling in general.
I don't know. I think so, maybe. I think in the test of time, everyone has always wanted some characters to go together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just seems like a natural human thing to want two people to be together. So. But I don't know. I was just looking at that and I was just like, it's not fair. Like, I was just thinking about, like, how could I write it without it coming across that way? You know what I mean? And I don't think there's any way that you can make them intimate without the idea of them being together. You know what I mean? And I wrote down, it doesn't matter if it's a man and a man, or a woman and a woman. The way culture is now, no matter what, they're gonna, like, sexualize, make it erotic.
Oh, you don't mean like just friend. You mean like real kind of like intimate.
Yeah. I told you, when they're on the hill and he does the gift, and I'm like, this is kind of like I can see him wanting to fuck her.
I noticed that, yeah.
And like he's stalkerish and stuff like that. Here, can you sit?
Yeah. That whole scene was like a romantic scene from any kind of movie. any other kind of movie.
That's what I'm saying. Is there any way of having that without that thought? Is there any way of doing that scene that is just as emotionally strong, but without getting across that the robot and the little girl might hook up?
I don't think you can do that as like a minor thing. It has to be like the focus of the story, or it has to be like really fucking long so you can develop that sort of relationship where they're not romantic, but they're very close.
I know, but it still gives off the impression, and I don't like that impression.
There's also ways you can get past that. Make one of them asexual.
That's what I'm saying. I don't. Why are we at a point in our culture in which literally I can't even have a little girl and a robot together because they'll be sexualized? Oh no.
I remember, I forgot who I was hanging out with, but like, some girl came along, and like,
Even it out. Keep going.
I remember everyone was like weird about the girl. I just kind of ignored her because I don't really know her.
You didn't know it. Oh.
But it was like, hey, there's a girl coming.
Oh, to the New Year's party?
Huh?
To the New Year's party?
No, it wasn't a New Year's party. I can't remember who I was with. Yeah,
That's a hit.
that was good.
Oh. Do you not? I'm surprised that's not what you didn't tell me in the beginning. The homage to Gangnam. Or what is it called? Gangnam, right?
Gangnam Style?
No, Gangnam.
Oh, Gundam?
Gundam, yeah.
When was that?
There's a poster right in the beginning of the film. Right, I saw the Gangnam, and I'm like, that's one of the first things where I saw. That's where I thought about art and how it evolves, right? I assume the director. I assume the director of the film, he was a fan of Gangnam growing up. Because he saw the battle at the end. Like, they went into fucking space and like...
Well, that was like straight up Superman. Have you seen the Superman
Yeah.
movie? That was like that.
That's what I'm saying. So do you think it was the Gangnam fights with like Superman and stuff like that that was integrated, that he was able... That's what I'm saying, is that's what I love of how art evolves. I assume if you look at it plainly, you know, he's trying to speak on AI, you know what I mean? But then you look at these little nuances, and it's just like, it's like you got the idea of AI taking over, sort of 2000, or like AI taking over iRobot sort of thing with this, like Gangnam, Superman file. He literally mixed them together and he managed to make it work, you know what I mean? And I just like that because I have stuff like, for example, a big influence on me is like the Call of Duty scene, because that's a lot of the stuff that I did growing up. I know that when I write characters later, they're going to be heavily based on these Call of Duty ideas, and anyone who was in that Call of Duty scene, that trick shot scene during those years, they'll know what I'm saying. Make sense? Mm-hmm. And I want to be able to integrate stuff like that I know within my art. And I'm just using an example so you know, like, how do I say this? I'm referencing it because that's something that I want to do in the future with my movies. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's it.
It was like crazy how close to Superman that movie was.
The whole fight was?
Yeah.
Or what?
Like, specifically, I remember when they were like flying up the building and he was chasing him, and all the windows were like exploding after him. That's like a known Superman thing.
Yeah.
I wonder if they were trying to do something with that.
I don't know.
So I guess he is kind of like alienish. He's He's a unknown to the world, and he doesn't know much about the world. But it's kind of like loosely there, so I don't know if it's actually.
No, it's not
supposed to be-
loosely.
Loose? It's not.
No, think about it. Instead of, okay, how do I say this? The whole point of Superman is like he was just kind of crash landed into Earth. He was just thrown into this planet. You know what I mean? That's the sort of the same. Is that too far of a stretch? Like her like falling and kind of like running into him is equating it to an asteroid and Superman hitting the
I
Earth.
think that's a stretch.
Okay, well, but that's what I'm trying to say is that there's that correlation, right?
Mhm.
And then there's the correlation that that he just spontaneously was like, because just like the cat in the box, like it's either there or it's not. You know what I mean? Simultaneously, you don't know if it's alive or dead simultaneously.
Mhm.
So it's like, if she never entered that laboratory where he would inactivated him, you know what I mean? He would have never became Superman. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's essentially the same thing. Like, he never would have. That's how I know it's a stretch, right? So that's the first part. That's why I think it's Superman, right? And then wasn't Superman? Oh wait, he doesn't have a second job though, right? If you would want to portray him as Superman, you would have him at the one where he has a reality that he plays. Oh, maybe.
Is that like a big thing in Superman comics,
No.
or is that just kind of?
Well, that's like a thing with Superman. That's a person. Like, if you wanted to vaguely portray Superman in not a Superman film, you wanted the attributes of Superman within not a Superman film.
I think that's more of a Superman or superhero kind of thing, because like there's Batman, there's Peter Parker.
Okay, fine. Remove that. What attributes directly are with Superman and not other superheroes?
Like on like a technical basis, the fact that he's one of the most overpowered comic book heroes, and that they have to like bullshit and like hand wave ways to give suspense to the stories.
Hey, really? He's overpowered?
He's like a god. He can fly. He's invincible. He can like shoot lasers into your head without actually like
Yeah.
teleport it into your brain to
Yeah.
disable parts of your skull.
What the fuck?
He's incredibly overpowered.
Yeah.
And then they just use that as a way to get suspense by killing him, and then he comes back sometime later.
Light it up.
I was giving myself a break, but
You're not ready? If you're not ready, we can wait.
I'm good now.
Okay. But what other, think of more attributes that are directly with Superman and no other superhero.
He's like a heroic, or he's a lawful heroic, which I guess the robot is like that too. What do you call it?
And he has two different personalities, like his farm life.
I don't actually like read Superman comics.
stuff on
so I
your
don't.
teeth. Oh, because of this. Yeah. There's probably stuff on my teeth too.
Ooh, yeah. That's fucking gross.
But yeah, he grew up on a farm. But, you know, his grandparents. But they're the ones who found him because they landed on his farm.
Fuck me.
So yeah, you don't equate that to him being a bully in public to him being a sweetheart, like in the little shed. You don't equate that to, remember when he was in the shed? You don't see that as Superman being in the farm, and when he's out in public as being this rebel, it's seen as Superman being out and saving people.
I mean, his personality didn't necessarily change. He didn't like blowing up all those robots and shit like that. He was just being manipulated.
No. What I'm saying is that if they want to portray Superman within this robot, but that's not a Superman film, what attributes do you put in? What I'm saying is that, do you think that farm life, how he's a super sweetheart in this farm to his grandparents, same as how he is at home, but then he's a superhero out there. He's not a superhero, he's technically a bad guy, but what's the difference, right? And what was I saying? So yeah, so you don't see that, is that not a correlation?
It's it's not enough correlation that I think it could be like this is related kind of thing. It's more of like enough pieces fall into place for you to see like a maybe draw from Superman kind of thing. Of course, I don't know much about Superman. I know fake plot lines and like.
Well, the thing about it is that the only way you can portray it so that people can interpret it as a superhero man type figure is to put the most obvious attributes. That's what I'm trying to point out. So that's what I'm trying to say, that or it should come easily. Let me finish my thought. If it doesn't come easy, if these Superman attributes aren't coming easily, like if they're not stringing together to be that you're called to, if they're not stringing together, to be that superhero figure, then it's not. Then it's too much of a stretch.
Like, what evidence did I give for the correlation? It was like the flying up the buildings.
Well, yeah. So just as a visual to be like, oh, this is sort of be like a Superman character. Then I thought, okay, how deeper can it get? I said, just like the asteroid, if the asteroid didn't hit the Earth and she didn't fall into the little vents, you know what I mean, and discovered him, Superman would never been on Earth. This robot would have never been existed because she didn't activate it. You know what I mean? So I'm equating those two. Then I'm equating the whole personality of having two different personalities in private and in public. You know what I mean? How he's the sweetheart in the shed, but in public he's this crazy, cool robot slaying all the other robots. You know what I mean?
I guess.
What's that one?
That's more of a like the way the public sees him than anything. Because it's not like he changes while he's out there. He's still the same cool guy. It's just that he's being manipulated into doing this stuff.
I know, but I'm talking, but on an absolute broad spectrum. You're going a little bit too into the details, I think.
Like, are we talking about like a theoretical version of the movie, or how we could fit this into?
No, I'm saying that if we were in the director's shoes and we were writing the characters, the robot, most of his descriptions would be based off Superman. That's what I'm saying. If you're like, okay, this is how I want the robot, but like, how do I want his personality? You're like, oh, Superman. That's exactly how I want it. But he's not Superman. He's this robot, and this is what's different about him, but that's where he's based. That's what I'm trying to come to. Is that the conclusion that, well, that's what I think now that you said it, that maybe he is based in Superman.
Let's see. So, thing to know about Superman.
It's out. You can have it.
He crash lands, farmers take him in.
Yeah.
He lives his whole like
Normal.
childhood out.
Yeah, childhood,
normal. And then he sort of becomes this hero and takes on this double identity kind of thing. And let's see, he's like arch villain. One of his. Ooh. Okay. So there's a part in Superman, like, I don't know what to call it, his overarching plot in general, like over all the comics and movies and stuff like that, where he gets killed by some guy named like Doomfist or something like that, and he's as strong as Superman, as invincible as Superman, and they punch each other to death.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that's like similar to, at the end scene, he's fighting another robot that's
completely.
pretty much just as strong as him.
That's what I'm saying. Is that if it does that go that deep, you mean?
And then he basically dies because he turns off.
Yeah, because
and then she finishes him off.
And let me say what's beautiful about that is that death is completely subjective in film. You know what I mean? Anyways, death is completely subjective in film. So the character only needs to die. You know what I mean? However he interprets death. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's fine. however he interprets death. Anyways, however he interprets death, you know what I mean? And so, yes, he does. When he deletes those memories, those are almost death to him. So that's all I'm saying.
It pretty much was dead.
Yeah, it was, because he didn't see himself without her.
Like, he might as well be a clone at that point.
Yeah.
So Doomsday. Let's see. Lex Luthor. Who would Lex Luthor be?
No, I think if you dig that far, that's too much of a stretch. But it's supposed to be very broad. You know what I mean? I do think that it is, because after you said it, I could just see the.
I'm not totally convinced, but I think there might be something to it.
Yeah, and that it's when you think about stuff like this, and when you pay attention to stuff like this, it just makes you a better writer.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I like to think about it. Ooh, I'm cold. How does it sound? Do you want to pause it? Get food? Oh wait, we already got food. Eat food?
Eat food?
Suck.
Sure.
And then you could wrap it up or continue recording or what?
Yeah.
Because I just want to be inside the car because we're finished.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, we'll be right back. All right, we're back. We're in our office space, and we're about to watch a trailer called Mortal Engines about a movie. And I don't know anything about it, so we're gonna watch it. That doesn't work. Yeah. Damn.
I've been looking for you for a long time. Your mother, she said she had found something dangerous. She was afraid of Valentine. What do I do? She said that you could stop him.
Wipe out the largest city in the blink of an eye.
No, they could shut it down.
Isn't this like the plot to Rogue One?
I don't know.
We have to stop London before it destroys us. You sure you want to do this? Once we go in, there's no going back. I have to.
Damn.
I've never seen that one. Just off what I can guess the story is from like that. It sounds exactly like the story of Rogue One.
What I like about elements like this is that the city is so big that itself is a character. You know what I mean?
I guess.
Like, there's some films that are able to make. Let me think of a movie. Oh, a very old movie called Bicycle Thieves.
Mm.
There's like the city in Italy, and like the city is a character because like it's during World War II, and it's all the stuff going on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like Italy or whatever. So like the whole depression of the city is like a character. I'm trying to say like, I just like the fact that the city itself, how it walks, it could be used as a character. I don't know how, because I haven't watched the movie, but.
Let's see if I can find the one that. There's one that they show on like commercials all the time. That's more about like the. It's more of a trailer for the universe of Mortal Engines. There it is.
Is this the same movie?
Just a second trailer.
Damn. This is more dramatic.
Before she died, your mother told me she was afraid of Valentine. And that the best thing that happened to her was to find you. That you would stop him. It would be a problem. She didn't like the mother.
Napkins?
At a jagged edges. She's beautiful and strange.
What I have to say about this, let me make sure I'm recording so I want to talk about this, is that it's very hard for me to watch anything movie, film related without starting to think about what I'm writing, you know? I was thinking about it. How could I make that cartoon part so cool? And you know what I thought of? Here, I'll play the song. Have I played this Childish Gambino song called Me and Your Mama? Does that sound familiar at all?
No.
It's like this epic song. Because I was thinking about, you're like, it's hard for me to, it's the very first song in this album, Me and Your Mama. It's very hard. Oh, I have showed you this. I think you just forgot. I'm thinking about it now. You just said earlier how you like when you hear music, it's like really good. So I was thinking if I could get the rights to this song, and have that castle scene or whatever, it would be so sick where he saves the princess and everything. Okay, Ray, listen. Because I think the power of the song is just so strong. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm thinking about it now. He's like getting ready to leave. It's in real life. He's like preparing to leave. Or a little bit has already passed, you know what I mean? And the music just fade in, like right as he's about to leave the door. And now he just turned the corner. You know what I mean? Now he's in the cartoon. And I'm thinking about, I don't know, the timing's kind of wrong in the song, but I'm thinking about him like kicking down a big castle door and there's a dragon on gold. The part of the song where it's speaking. Or you could be like dueling a dragon like this. You know what I mean? Where you stretch just like this, stretch out time. You know what I mean? You look at his face and he's like, you look at the dragon and it's like, whoa. You know what I mean? And then I don't know.
Good fit.
Watch. It gets better though. Why did I put my seatbelt on? It gets better.
Buckle up, it gets better.
So we can listen to this song. It's such an epic song. I could see people want to equate this to Bohemian Rhapsody because you'll see how epic the song gets. So this is when I imagine he's fighting the dragon. He's like about to do it. And then I have this, I'm thinking of Adventure Time. You know, like how the gravity's super fake and he jumps into the air and shit like that? I'm thinking of him jumping in the air and just one-hitting the dragon, like stabbing it in the head and just like, you know what I mean? And then he just takes off towards the castle, right? And then, because he still has to fight the other goblins to escape, right? That's when he fights the dragon, you know what I mean? And I'm thinking of him like sprinting upstairs and like trying to go to the princess's castle. I don't know, and then I'm just imagining him kicking ass, like just killing a bunch of goblins and shit with like a princess like this, you know what I mean? A rapper. That's why when he dies, people are gonna realize how brilliant he is. He makes films. He's an actor. He played in the new Spider-Man cartoon movie. He played in the Spider-Man. The Childish Gambino played the black kid in the Spider-Man. Remember, he sees him. Yeah. He makes music. He's known in the rap industry as a good lyricist. You know what I mean? There's literally nothing else this guy can't do. And when he dies, people are gonna realize like, okay, like, he's an artist and why didn't we appreciate him? I really appreciate it. Actually, that's a lie. A lot of people, he has a big fan base, you know what I mean? But people aren't appreciating him enough. I don't know, the song's so good. I remember I was just smoking, I was just listening to the song. I'd be on the side of the house, I'd be like, oh my god.
See how you
I could like mesh them together. Or wait, what? Sorry.
I can see how you could think of this as like a Queen or like Bohemian Rhapsody.
No, but like an epic song, you know what I mean? But there's that other song, Sicko Mode. That remember we were playing it and we were smoking and driving, Sicko Mode? No. That Drake song?
But yeah.
Remember we were going to Suburbia? I'm like, oh, these are what people are saying is the 20 or a Bohemian Rhapsody. Yeah. That was nothing compared to this, you know what I mean? Yeah. This came out 2 years ago.
Well, this has a lot of the qualities to be closer to that. I think if I didn't have more
more of a personal connection to the song Bohemian Rhapsody.
No, yeah, of course.
These would be like in the same league.
No, yeah, but what I'm saying is that if anything was to be compared, I'd rather it be this song than the other song.
Oh yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Especially as a modern day, comparing it as a modern day Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm trying to think of another artist who's done anything as good as this song.
Yeah.
And it's simply him expressing his love for, or wanting a girl to love him. You know what I mean? You know what's crazy? Is that, watch, I'll play another song from this album. Is it this? It seems like a different version. Here. Now, tell me if you know this song. Oh, fuck, did I click something? Okay. It's in the same exact album. It's not loading. Why is it not loading? Just taking its time? I didn't want you to look at the name. Oh, there it goes. Really? Right when I hand... Are you fucking serious? Did you look at the name?
Yeah.
Fuck. Do you know the song?
No.
Watch. Think of the memes and stuff. That year. 2016. You don't remember?
I know this song, but I don't remember what team.
Yeah, well, they just used it in memes and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But this song was like one of the most popular songs of the year, and it was on the same album as that song. And it never that song that I just played never got any spotlight compared to this song. Like, this song is so good, and I can't wait because this album I'm gonna show my kids because that one's really good for my generation. And this song, everyone, I used to joke about it that year. I used to say in 2016 this is our national anthem. Because it seems like every single time I turned on the radio, anytime I went on social media, there was always a meme with this song that year, or the radio always had that song on. Like, that entire year. And everyone loved that song. And it got like, I don't even know how many views. Look at this one has 300 million views. 18 million views. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anytime it has Redbone, it has millions of views. Like, the song is loved by everyone. And it got, the other song I believe got outshined by this one. Because this one's good, but it's, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, oh yeah, this is Childish Gambino. He made a nice, kind of like easy to listen to song, I guess. But I felt the other one was way better and never got the credit it deserved.
Do you think... I feel like we're coming out of a period where it was mostly just rock, everything. And now it's like rap, hip-hop, this sort of lo-fi hip kind of thing.
Yeah, of course,
And
definitely.
it's just broadening out into all this new shit instead of just rock.
The big reason for that was that rock was the only thing selling. There, like, when you turned on the radio or you went to search for music, the only thing there was the most popular, which was rock at the time. You know what I mean? But because of the internet and because of rap, you know what I mean? And how do I say it? Like, genre bending music, or what is it called? Where they get different genres of music, like Brockhampton, stuff like that.
Mashups,
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like that, and people just mixing different genres and putting it online has spurred this weird sound.
Yeah.
And because of the accessibility of online, and like, for example, Crumb, that they're not that popular right now, in that maybe in the 70s, if they try to make the psychedelic music or whenever other psychedelic music was popular, you know what I mean? It might have been way harder for them because the competition, everyone wanted that. You know what I mean? It wasn't easily accessible for people who aren't as popular to become popular. That's all I'm saying.
Like I parked the mice full.
Fucking asshole. You can can take my parking spot right there.
I don't want to deal with the neighbors. They're all fucking assholes.
You want to stay as far as you can?
Yeah.
I don't want to listen. But yeah. That's the only thing that I found so unfair about that. But yeah, so can you see me using that song? Like,
Oh yeah, I could leave.
yeah, okay, so think of like a little cartoon character just going and saving the princess, and that's it. And like, you see in like, how do I say this? So, anytime he's running, okay, so if you split it in quarters, you know what I mean? 1, 2, 3, 4. Anytime there's an empty space, that's where the text would be. So say he's jumping and he's in this side of the screen, the empty text would be here. Or the text being like, oh, say Miranda Cosgrove or something, I don't know. And then like he's running, like he's running, but his character's right here and there's empty space right here. I'd have to text. So it'd be kind of constantly moving with him as he's doing all this epic stuff. It's just introducing that. And then once he finally gets out of the castle, I thought maybe he was going to lean in for a kiss. And then because he hasn't really gotten her with her yet in the story, he doesn't know like what will happen when he kisses her. You know what I mean? So that's why when he's about to like kiss her and it fades to black and he's in reality and he's about to go have lunch with his best friend. That sound cool?
Yeah. How would his best friend fit into the sort of daydream?
He wouldn't be there at all. Because the whole point is the story, he wants to be with this girl. That's
So the best friend's just not gonna bother.
well, that's why I don't
with,
know.
Their.
That's why I don't know. I don't know if whether or not the best friend doesn't have feelings for her, so it gives him an excuse to date her or let her cheat on him with him. Him with him. You know what I mean?
Like depending on how the character sees his best friend in the story, he should be depicted in a daydream at some point. Maybe he'll be the quest giver, because him basically inviting it.
Yeah, actually, and that's brilliant. Thank you for saying that, because I'm thinking about it now. I'm thinking about a script that this guy in my class, he wrote it, and he just couldn't, I told you about it, he just couldn't understand that he was just being stupid about stuff, and he just couldn't understand it, so I took it home, and I literally, like, wrote on stuff, and I'm like, this is where you're getting it wrong, and this is where you need to correct it. And he did exactly that. He had a therapist. He wanted the whole thing to be like Wizard of Oz, where there's a person there's this dream sequence or this other world in which it's a mirror of reality in which the characters mirror themselves in reality. But yet he had a therapist who's supposed to help as someone who was bad and who showed her 3 aborted babies that, you know what I mean, that he had, you know what I mean? And I'm like, a therapist wouldn't do that. If you're trying to do it the whole Wizard of Oz thing, the therapist you would want in the dream sequence, a good guy who's, you know, a therapist is not really someone who's gonna, you know what I mean, not do something bad in a dream sequence. And now I'm thinking about it, like you said, if I have him and I decide to have him as a bad character, I can make him the dragon. Just put his head on the dragon, and it would be just as cool, because then you're like, okay, so you're kind of already getting a vague idea of the movie going into the movie.
Yeah.
And I want that. And that's what I was trying to do. And then, like, say I don't want him to be the bad guy. I can have him as the quest giver. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think either way, he's either going to be the dragon because he tries to stop the relationship. He's going to be the quest giver.
To allow him?
Yeah. Or he's going to be some sort of minor obstacle because it's not really about him.
But yeah, however, I would want to.
Yeah. Kind of.
Yeah. Okay. It's cool. And the only... Oh, that's... I don't know. It's cool. Did you want to play something?
Yeah.
Let's listen to this. This is Current Joys Kids. Wait, is their name Current Joys?
Current Joys is the band. Kids is the song name.
This is Current Joys and this Kids.
This is the video I've been watching where I'm just jamming out to this song. And the video really helps. Like, this is from a movie. This isn't actually, like, an official music video.
Oh. Wait, this is a movie?
Yeah.
What movie?
I didn't do it.
Oh, it doesn't
It's in,
say.
like, French.
Oh, dude, if it's a fucking French film, I'll watch it.
Well, I thought it was going to be, like, a sort of